Yes guys, what is up? Welcome to Supercars of London, back down at the Tom Hartley estate, where a couple of weeks ago you saw me down here with Carl talking about the Bugatti Veyron, which is parked over there, but there was a car sat here that I was talking about doing a video with. Now I'm being joined by Carl, once again, stood next to what is possibly my dream next car. And I want you to try and sell it to me before I drive it.
Well, it doesn't really need much selling. It's got really no reason why it's the cheapest, apart from that's where I feel the market is in the minute. 7,000 miles, 2016. Got all the spec you want on it. The sensorium sound, the wheels. I like the carbon engine bay better than the glass. I think we talked about that in the last video.
Yes, matte carbon.
You know, painted SV. It's got the painted SV.
Inverted scandal, the entire car.
Well, listen, if there's a car to cause scandal in, it's this. So they named it well. They named it well.
I personally believe that the Aventador SV is the best variant of the Lamborghini V12 Aventador.
Yeah, well, I mean, the S is very good.
Yeah.
The SVJ is very good.
Yeah.
The S's are the same price, give or take 10% than an SV. Yeah. Without being a limited numbered special car. Yeah. So kind of flips you onto an SV. Yeah. SVJ is probably a better car, but it's 100,000 more money. Yeah. So
value for money wise. Yeah. This, I mean, look at it. Look at this.
Less SVs made than SVJs.
Yeah, they went crazy on SVJ.
SVJ kind of looks like it has been to Halfords in a bit. I mean, I don't look at that car and think, oh, we need to do more to it. Yeah. You know, oh, it needs to be a bigger wing, or it needs to be more of an air intake, or need to be this, need to be that.
Whenever the Gen 1 came out, I think it was 2011. There was a lot of aftermarket companies that came out. Mansory did a kit, DMC did a kit.
I had a DMC one actually.
I remember when the SV was coming, I was like, how do Lambo make their SV look better than some of the aftermarket kits, or how do they make it look different? Yeah. And this is the perfect balance of going crazy,
but keeping it in keeping with the car.
Exactly.
Without, it doesn't look like anything is stuck on.
Yeah. And we're going to want sport so that we can engage the clutch and grab everything a little bit better as we make our way out onto the public roads. And away we go. Oh, it's immediately much sniffer than my M2 competition. I mean, we're not starting on the best road. I'm back in a Lamborghini V12. My God, this is stiff. So we'll go for a bit of a cruise. I will hopefully give you my best views on what it is like to be back behind the wheel of a V12 Lamborghini. The build-up of revs is something totally unique to a Lamborghini V12. There is something so ominous, the way that this thing just creeps up the revs, and as you creep up the revs, the more power that becomes available to you. And being back behind the wheel of an Aventador in general, there's something so analog about the car. Yet obviously this car is a 2016, 2017, I can't really remember what Carl said. It's still quite a new car, but the way that Lamborghini continue to engage the driver is something that cannot be compared to anything that Ferrari, McLaren, Porsche do. Porsche have the GT3, yes, okay, you can get the manual gearbox and you can have a fantastic drive, but everything is becoming so computerized in this era and downsizing with engines that this is going to sit at the top in 10 years time as being the pinnacle of where Lamborghini sat. And there is nothing quite like this car. I don't know whether my GoPro is getting the correct angle that I set it up, or whether one of those earlier bumps has knocked it a little bit, so I'll try and fix that as best as possible. I'm just trying to concentrate as much as I can. The Aventador and Lamborghini just have nailed the road presence element of this car, and the theatre that comes with being behind the wheel of this thing. I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the way that these carbon seats are feeling, so maybe that's something to consider. Now, I came up to Tom Hartley and to see Carl because the thunder's coming. Obviously, this being the cheapest Aventador SV has an element of attraction to it. Could I jump from my Murcielago to an Aventador SV? What an upgrade that would be. But to get behind the wheel of this car, it's not a case of documenting whether this is because it's the cheapest that it's the worst, which I think is the case in some mass-produced cars. If you were to go and have a look at the cheapest Lamborghini Gallardo, it would be the one that's had the hardest life. Whereas because SVs are limited production, the cars are usually exchanging hands with people that have a real passion for these cars and treat and respect them like the £300,000 car that they are, that actually this is probably the nicest example of an Aventador SV in terms of colour, in terms of spec, and in terms of value for money. 7,000 miles on the clock is absolutely nothing. These are probably some of the most useless miles. It's literally just ticked over 7,500 miles, but I'm stuck behind a tractor. So this is the evolution of Lamborghini as real as it comes, from tractor to a 700 brake horsepower plus track monster. I love this thing. Just, I could sit here at second gear, 2,500 RPM, and listen to this drone all day long. But I would also like this tractor to move out of the way. We are back with a bit of clear tarmac and a national speed limit sign. What more do you want? Going from less than 20 miles an hour. I could just let this car sing all day. Aventador SV, and I do believe it's got something to do with the current times, the climate, and the uncertainty. But in what world can you buy a limited edition V12 Lamborghini for 240 grand? And that sentence is said with obviously a little bit of lunacy to it, because there's still a hell of a lot of money. But when you look at what the Murcielago SV is going for a good one, 350, 400,000 pounds. Yes, they're older, they've done the depreciation, they're creeping back up, there's less of them. You've got the Diablo SV, you've got the Mura SV, and you've got the Countachs that are just insanely priced. And I think this car is going to go that way now, which is why I think it's one of the best times to buy an Aventador SV is right now. They're not going to go too much lower when you look at where Aventador S's are and when you look at where the first gen Aventadors are. I think this car in the Lamborghini world is a great investment right about now, because naturally aspirated V12, single clutch gearbox, the looks that have been on so many kids' bedroom posters. If you think about the Countach now and the generation of people that are buying Countachs, they are the people that had them on their bedroom walls, that have earned their money, they've become successful, and they bought that car that was on their bedroom wall. The Aventador SV is that car for the current generation. So buy an Aventador SV now and you will find yourself with one of the best investments that you could possibly do in 2020. Please refuel. The only downside to a 6.5 litre V12. Oh! Look at this. 2 generations of Lamborghini V12 together. LP640 Roadster going back into the showroom as I've just come back. And Carl, I have to say, I have loved getting behind the wheel of this. This is actually like the first supercar that I've driven since lockdown.
Paul, you were gone for 2 hours.
I wasn't. It was raining.
I thought you went home.
That's my excuse.
I was like, yes, he's bought it.
Carl, I'm wiring you the money. I mean, when you are so used to driving the Murcielago, which is a handful to maneuver around, once you get that going, it's terrible at low speeds, but once you get going, they're amazing. That is a more usable version of the Murcielago with the angular aggression, and it's got a few little nice modern technological advancements that make it nose lift, the steering's that bit better, like everything about the SV is just emphasise that bit more. And obviously in that colour, like I was driving it around and everyone that was like, oh my god, I can't believe it.
You see, now what I'm going to do, because we've touched on the Murcielago, which I didn't want to do with this car.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to do what you don't really want me to do on film.
Oh god.
Now, the Aventador SV is a different animal to an Aventador, and it's a different animal to a Murcielago, of course.
Yep.
But I feel, and we've had this conversation before, a Murcielago LP640 is a better driving car than a standard Aventador.
Agreed.
So I think I'd much prefer to drive
an LP640,
to a standard Aventador. A standard Aventador, especially an early, say 2012 car, is a pig. Like it's dreadful, isn't it? They're horrible.
I jumped in
such
one.
a big difference in 13. The 13 models made such a big. I don't know what they've done. There must be some kind of software.
I think it was when the Roadster came out, so there was a few additions to, like the gearbox was probably recalibrated. It was slightly retuned or whatever. But you're right. I jumped in 2011 and was so underwhelmed by it because it's a little bit automated, but still very sluggish and very clumsy. Whereas that is sharp, the steering is bang on, and I was saying on camera that the cheapest on the market, especially in SV terms, doesn't mean it's the worst. If it was like Lamborghini Gallardo, for example, the cheapest on the market is the worst. But with this being a limited car, 7,500 miles, I personally think this is the best coloured SV on the market.
I think it's a colour for the car. You're not going to buy a dark blue with cream SV. You know, you're buying an SV.
Exactly.
If you're not going to be seen, you want to be heard, and it does the both.
Yeah.
And I think also touching on the point where you said because it's the cheapest doesn't necessarily mean it's the worst. Going back on what we said before on a few previous videos, we own our cars. Yeah. So
you can control the price,
and they are truly for sale. Yeah. They're not for sale for what a dealer thinks that their customer wants for it. Yeah. This car is for sale. Yeah. And I think it gives people a vote of confidence, the fact that they're buying it from us as well. You know, we have a good reputation, been around a long time.
Look at the company it's in there.
Exactly. So it's certainly sometimes we can price a car and people can think, wow, what's wrong with that? Yeah. Well, it's 10, 20 grand cheaper than the nearest one. Okay, but the nearest one has been for sale for 6 months and never had a phone call because it's too much money. Yeah. Just because something on Auto Trader or Piston Heads or wherever shows like it's in keeping, doesn't mean that that's the price. Yeah. It's so true. I can show you the price because I sell them. You know?
It's so true. And I mean, when you look at it like this, I was driving back, the cameras were rolling off. The cameras were off, not rolling off. The cameras were off, and I just looked in my wing mirror and I was like, oh my god, I'm in an SV. Yeah. Because it is very easy to detach yourself away from it when this is basically all you do. Especially, you see this car every day.
Yeah. And also, standing outside the car, this goes for, I mean, an SVJ is even more so, but standing outside, this car's a big car.
Yeah.
It's big. But when you're driving it, it feels half the size.
Yeah, and the faster
it doesn't feel
you go,
wide at all.
The smaller it gets.
Yeah. And four-wheel drive, I think, is great because there's so much power in these cars.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get yourself all shapes that you don't want to be in. Like F12.
Yeah.
Ferrari F12 was a big competitor to the Aventador. F12 initially wins because the earlier F12s were a lot better than the early Aventadors. But as time got on, 2014, 2015, I think the Aventadors, they topped it for me.
Yeah.
I always had an Aventador.
And look at the prices of F12s now at 140, 150,
Yeah.
160. I mean, Gen 1 Aventadors, they're about 150, 160, but this 244.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not very often that Ferrari get on the losing end of that.
Yeah.
It's normally the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, a wicked drive, and I have to say, this specification, as soon as I saw it, I didn't even know what the price was. As soon as I saw you post it saying that you've got it, I was like, I just have to come and see it because it is near on perfect. Interior and exterior combined, near on perfect, and massive thank you for allowing me to drive it.
So, should we go inside and do some paperwork?
I knew that was coming. I can't come here and Carl not try and sell me something. I mean, in fact, I've got something that I'm going to try and sell you, actually. Let's do a deal, Murcielago for Aventador SV.
Let's go.
Straight swap.
Well, hang on a minute. Cut.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, massive thanks to these guys as always, and Carl. Check out his Instagram, check out these guys online and on Instagram as well, because of course the cars that I have are absolutely ridiculous, and we need to make this more than just an annual thing.
Yeah.
Because I always come up.
Remember when we done the video, me, you and James?
Yeah.
Mr. JWW. We said we were going to do a once a month thing, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we just, obviously we all get sidetracked with business.
And we live 2 hours away.
Yeah, but we should do it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
That's if everybody wants us to do it.
No, I think we definitely should. I think there is something
How
there.
about this?
Yeah.
How about...
You pay for my mileage and fuel.
No. How about if we get a certain amount of comments about this conversation, about people wanting us to do it? So what should we say, 100 requests for people wanting us to do it? 200? I mean, I don't know how many comments you get.
I wouldn't even be able to put a number on it. I think what we should do is everyone go and bombard us on Instagram, and I think if we see the comments underneath the posts of this and everything else that we've done, then we should do it.
We should definitely, and James has come on board in a second.
Yeah, 100%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you very soon for more entertainment. And let me know whether you think me, Carl, and James should do something once a month, podcast, video, whatever it is.
Wherever it takes us.
I'll see you soon, guys. Take care. Goodbye.